traffic was better, right? We may need to have a
Absolutely.
motion to come with no traffic. So I'd like to call officially the meeting of the Health and Education Facilities Board to order. First of all, let's have a review of minutes. Would anybody have questions about minutes or move to pass them, approve? Motion to move, approve last meeting's minutes.
Approved minutes.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meetings from October 2nd, meetings 2024 have been passed. I would like to call now a public comment period. Would anybody like to have a moment to address the committee? Seeing that there's no one here requesting a public comment committee, we'll move on to amendment preliminary approval consideration of the request of Madison Station Phase 1 for the amendment of its preliminary approval of the issuance not to exceed $65 million multifamily housing revenue bonds in one or more series. Location is 721 Madison Square. Who'd like to approach? Please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Josh Haston with LVG Development. We've been before this board before. Really excited about this project. It's just taking a really long time to piece together all the financing for this, which is why we're trying to extend the current inducement resolution that we had previously been approved by. So if all goes according to plan, we hope to come before this board for THEA approval and final bond resolution next year. So. Happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
And Kenya, well, by the way, welcome, our newest member. There's a little write-up here on the proposal as well. So this is a 246-unit family multi-housing in Madison. Any questions from the committee?
Yeah, I do. So it looks like in February, you were here for the 65 as well. So what were the changes? What's going on? Or what's
So, as you're probably aware, just financing has just been really difficult the past little bit, and trying to piece together all the sources that are required to make a deal like this happen is very difficult. What's different about this deal compared to a lot of other deals is it is not located in what's called a qualified census tract. And that requires an additional layer of subsidy finding that we have to do in order to make a deal pencil. So a lot of developments that come before this board, nothing wrong with that, happen to be located in qualified census tracts. And we are diligently looking to find and develop properties in higher opportunity areas where we know that our residents will have better long-term outcomes.
So the substance of the amendment primarily relates to timing?
Oh yeah, it's all timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timing so we can secure all the financing needed.
Any other questions from the group?
So does that look like a finite time or?
Yeah, what was the timing of the?
He was here originally in '23 and then came back in February to request an increase in the borrowing amount. And the original '23 approval was good through the end of this year. And so this is an extension of that, and in recent approvals, the board's been going up to 2 years only because very few people that come to us are able to get all this. This is the first step in the process, get all those other steps accomplished in a 1 calendar year. So the extension request is through 26. Ideally, it'll be 2025, but we may see him again. And we've seen others come back for similar reasons. Just is taking long.
And transparently, we're looking at all sorts of different angles to make sure that these deals are financeable and producing the best outcomes. So I may need to come back in the spring, transparently, to look at other ways to improve the deal as well, to make it more financially feasible.
Thanks for your tenacity.
Yes.
Any other questions from the board? Is there a motion?
I move.
Move to approve?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you
See
all.
you in 25. Yeah. Thank you. We're now looking at item number 5 on the board agenda, amendment approval consideration of the request of Abe's Garden for amendments to those certain $12,600,000 health and housing facilities revenue bonds, Series 2011, and $12.5 million health and housing facilities revenue bonds, Abe's Garden, Series 2014. Location, as many of us know, is at 115 Woodmont Boulevard. Who'd like to approach?
I'm Alex Buchanan, and good to see you. So this is a bond purchase, actually, from Truist, now currently owns the bonds, and I'm here on behalf of First Bank. Shay Binkley's here. So First Bank is going to buy the bonds, and in connection with that acquisition, they're making a few modifications with your approval of the loan agreement and the bond itself. Mike Smerling, who's the chairman of the Abe's Garden, is here as well. If you have any questions about Abe's Garden's operations, but it's basically a treatment facility for dementia folks. So it's a pretty straightforward transaction, purchase of bonds and some amendments going on that will allow First Bank to get comfortable with owning them. And there's about 16 million of bonds outstanding currently, so they're being paid down, but still got quite a bit of debt to knock through.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions from the board members regarding Abe's Garden or the bond amounts?
I'm just a little interested in hearing about the project, just a little bit more with Abe's Garden. Yeah.
Mike, you want to say something because you know it better than I do?
Never turn down an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I promise to be brief for everybody.
Yes, really want to hear.
Thank you. I was here 13, 14 years ago for these original bonds. We've paid off almost $10 million. Will be by the time they mature. The actual maturity date's next year. They'll be amortized over a longer period. Abe's Garden has averaged over 98% occupancy since we opened. We're currently in a capital campaign to expand the memory care beds by about 50%. We have raised $18 million, no debt on that. $18 million we've raised out of a $20 million budget. So we don't need bonds because we've been successful in the past. Over the last, the memory care part opened in 2015. Since that date, we've actually lost more people on our 100 wait list than we have in the facility. So the demand was there. We've averaged, as I said, over really tonight. Last night it was 100% every room. So we needed to do this expansion, and the community needed this expansion, and it's 100% funded by the community for this. So 159 families as partners represent the funds raised so far. So what we're doing with this transaction is moving the bonds from Truist, who used to be SunTrust, who used to be Third National Bank, and all of our activities come out of Atlanta and now Charlotte, and we really always started with a local bank, and Third National was that bank, and we just feel so comfortable with First Bank, have a great relationship. We do business with them anyway, and so nothing really changes from our end, the organization's end, but some of the covenants in it will change and be modified to make it easy for them to do business and us as well. But I'll take any questions. That's your 1 minute. We can go 2 hours, but we're not. Once they wind me up.
Any other questions from Mr. Schmerling? What about the project? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved that we proceed.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, and thank you for this work you do for our community.
Please continue.
Moving to item number 6 on the board agenda, preliminary approval, consideration of the request of Woodbine Belmont LP for preliminary approval of the issuance not to exceed $48 million in multifamily housing revenue bonds in one or more series at 1429 12th Avenue South. Who's here to represent? Please come up.
I'm Mick Nelson with Nelson Community Partners. Good to see you all, and I'm joined here by Tony Woodham from Woodbine Community Organization and my colleague Kelsey Wilson. So yeah, we are planning on 12th Avenue, right between the library and the new police precinct. Woodbine owns a property, about 40 units, that's in badly need of reinvestment. It's slightly less than an acre, the parcel, and we think there's a huge potential to do something bigger and provide more affordable units than the 40 that are there right now. We also would really like to try and figure out a way, we know with Envision Edge Hill from MDHA and the needs of that neighborhood, that maybe there's a chance for additional community facilities on the ground floor as well. So that's something we're in the process of exploring, and the first step, as Cindy mentioned, is to talk to you to sort of see if that would be amenable to you all to get that process started. So yeah, we say up to 200 units. We think it's probably more like half that, maybe 80 to 100 is typical size that we often is probably for this parcel size. But the location is amazing. But there's bike lanes running up and down 12th now, and great bus surface, and hopefully improved bus surface after November 5th. So I'll stop there and open up for any questions.
What's the,
Excuse me.
I guess the AMI that you're targeting?
We will average 60% of AMI, so everyone will be, the average income there will be 60% of area median income or below.
Got it. And there's existing properties there now that
Yes, there's
are gonna
about-
go away, I guess? Is that-
Yeah, so there's 40 units there, approximately 40 units right there, but they're not fully occupied because we know we need to do a major capital reinvestment there. So sort of to make that process as smooth for the existing tenants as possible, we're not releasing the property right now in order to make it as minimize the disruption. Anyone who's living there currently, when we start the process, will have a preference in moving back in once it's complete as well. So we plan on doing that
Will
as
there
well.
be any disruption in housing for those people that are there right now?
We will find units for every single person that's living there right now.
And of the 40 potential, how many people you think, how many families are
And there's 11 there or so.
Oh,
right
11
now.
of 40.
Yeah. So it's in badly need of reinvestment. So we're not moving people in so that we would have to, knowing that this is coming down the pipeline.
Okay.
And what's the target population for the units?
Right now we're just sort of a general for the key focus is just on people qualifying by virtue of their income level, and that's going to be the target for now. We may get more specific. It might be suitable to do a housing project for older adults, considering the tight parking, but we haven't made a specific commitment in that direction just yet. We're going to
Not specific architectural plans yet?
No.
And it could go up to 200, but you said, what's the deciding factor in whether it's 200 versus 80?
It's a question of what's financeable is what's really going to drive this. Is sort of the sources that we can bring together, what we might be able to put on the ground floor may allow us to do more units, but we're also going to be parking. It depends on what we're going to do in terms of parking as well. There's no parking minimums, but we do want to make sure that there's the appropriate amount of parking spaces to make it a successful development. So
Your current tenants are families or?
their families.
The existing building is gonna be raised and replaced?
That would be the plan, yes.
What community partners are you working with or that you've connected with?
So Woodbine would be the lead here. So Woodbine Community Organization, a nonprofit you've guys been around for close to 40 years now, 30 years?
Right at 38 years, that's right.
So we are actually, and I don't know if this is getting recorded, but we were actually thinking about talking to the city. We know that they'd like to get a new library in the area. We don't know that that's something, but we were thinking, well, what could be a better space for this? But plan on talking to MDHA, who we know have been working in the neighborhood with their Envision Edge Hill, to sort of build on those relationships that they've had, but also open to suggestions about other folks that might be good to partner.
Are you engaged with your council person?
We haven't yet.
That would be, that I would highly recommend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's the timeline between, so the last person sort of rolls out of their lease to the new building coming online? Do you have any kind of estimate?
Would imagine probably a construction period of at least 18 months for a project such as this, yeah. So.
And when's the last lease expire?
All the current residents are month to month, however, we traditionally give them at least 12 months' notice.
But you said you'd
And
find them
we have
all,
other properties in the pipeline right now.
of the 11 that are there, but you said you'd find them all other units. Would that be within the Edge Hill community or?
Right now, we've had others that have moved over to Elysian Fields near the zoo. Right off Nolensville is our current project that is open and available for residents to make that shift. We don't have any other properties in our pipeline right now, right there in that vicinity. But we have others on Dickerson Pike and in other areas that these individuals are excited about just because of the amenities available at the other projects and how new and wonderful they are. So
With the families, because you mentioned that of the 11 tenants or folks that are units that are occupied, their families, do you know about the age range? Are there like children who are school aged?
Yeah, sorry.
and there actually are all single individuals
Okay.
for clarity.
Okay.
Okay.
These are
Everybody's
all
a single
one-bedroom
individual.
units that are remaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I would like more information. I'm kind of without seeing any kind of plans. I'm not really sure. You know, because my concern, of course, we know how Nashville is, but it is the process of displacement, you know, and just making sure that that isn't going to happen. And since I can't see just for myself, I just need a little bit more information pertaining to what the plans are, what specifically is going to happen, that kind of thing.
If I may, I totally understand that concern. We are actually coming to you a little bit earlier than we otherwise usually would be in this process. It's a sort of foible of the federal government that if we don't get a preliminary inducement this year, our ability to build a community service facility and get the low-income housing tax credits that we seek to apply for next year through THDA, we won't be able to get to use the cost of constructing that community facility would not benefit from these low-income housing tax credits because it's currently a qualified census tract, which Josh was mentioning. It won't be next year. So we are coming here admittedly a little bit earlier, but we certainly will come back with updates next year as it develops, and certainly before the final approval, and we'll have a full set of plans.
So if they come back and we look at the plans and we're like, we can undo. This is a preliminary approval.
Okay. Yeah, this is preliminary, and I think what he's offering, and we've done this before, have him come back again once things are moving next year before they come for final.
Right.
So have an interim step to get more.
We'd be more than happy to do that.
Okay. And you're starting from ground up. You're knocking everything down.
That is, that would be, my
From
current plan.
ground up for those residents. Okay.
And there's actually a affordable housing development right across the street, so 60%, and so it's potential that we can sort of try and help get those folks on the waiting list to move just across the street, as soon as we sort of get a timeline for development.
Yeah, more information. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody have a motion?
A question before the
Yeah.
motion. Given the articulated concern, can the motion include the request for additional information prior to? Okay.
Another state of clarification, so preliminarily, we're looking at 48 million, up to 48 million,
Correct.
without any plans to know.
So the prelim allows them to do the exploration and to continue to have conversations with council members, partners, and then bring back a plan that says this is what the intent is. Without that, then they're not eligible for those pre-tax credits, but it doesn't commit us to the full
Thank you
development.
for the point of clarification.
No problem.
So a motion approved with some stipulations regarding additional information. Would anybody like to second that motion?
We'll get a public hearing on this one.
Oh, thank you. Being that I've been reminded that we need a public hearing, we shall have one. Does anybody from the public like to address this? One offered and not taken, seeing that that is the case, we can also ask if there's a second to approve. Motion stated.
Can you restate the motion?
The motion is preliminary approval with the understanding on re-presentation to the board. There will be more detailed information at which time we can deny or accept.
Does it make any sense to set a date for that second hearing?
Well, we don't have another meeting scheduled. You could ask at the next meeting to get an update, even, 2 or 3 months from now. That would,
We will,
know.
we will, we will probably not apply for tax credits to Tennessee Housing Development Agency until next summer. So we'll be working the next 6 months or so. So I don't know if maybe your May, June, July meeting might be a good time where we can get a lot of information, and that will be well in advance of when we'd ask for final approval.
So then we might augment the motion being preliminary approval with the understanding that we're going to get detailed plans to be presented on or before 6 months from today's date.
Yeah.
Does that work?
She's got a question.
Yes.
Point of parliamentary procedure. I know there's a motion on the floor. I don't know if this is unreadiness.
Right.
Can I do unreadiness now? Has it been seconded?
It
It's
has
not
not
been
been
seconded.
seconded.
It's not been seconded, so you can't take
Right.
discussion yet. I'll wait for a second.
Yeah, second.
You made the motion.
I will second.
Oh, well, sure.
Unreadiness.
Okay.
My question is, are we putting the cart before the horse? If this is preliminary, has planning been brought in on board, and that can sometimes take even longer than 6 months? Have we heard any report? And I know that there's some kind of how we're doing silo to silo. Where are we with planning? Does that affect what we do? It's just a
I
part of.
don't think so. I think we've done this before in my recollection where, and this is, it seems to me like this is a timing issue.
Right.
That he's under a deadline so that he can get some tax credits. And so all we're doing here, correct me if I'm wrong, is giving a preliminary approval. And then once they come back with the full plan, we can accept or deny that.
Yes,
Regardless
you're
of whether planning-
preserving
His right.
his option to continue to pursue this, is what
Thank
you're
you.
doing.
We're giving him an invitation to come back to the party.
And I think, from my experience, the 6 months, so many things a part of this process may or may not make that feasible. So I guess the question is it within 25, and I don't know if that's too broad, but that they would come back with the plan that allows them to, for us to see, given all the other factors? Or is 6 months something you're willing to commit to, period?
What I can feel very comfortable committing to is we'll come back and report back on where the project
status.
stands in 6 months with as developed plans as we have. So it may still be, okay, we'll know more in 3 months' time. We will come back and share.
With some type of.
Yeah, with it, we'll be happy to come back as, this really allows for this project to materialize, and so appreciate your consideration of it.
Is there anything that, we've approved the second motion. Did we ask if there was anybody who was not in favor? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed for preliminary. Thank you. All right. That does it for all of the folks here, so thank you very much for being here. We do have an opportunity to elect a secretary, and would somebody like to nominate anybody?
So move the recommendation, the nomination.
Nomination, all right, Kenitha. And anybody have any questions, Ms. Kenitha? I would like to second that motion then. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Woo! Don't spend the money everywhere.
Right.
We have an option here, just an informational items, report on debt obligation. Who would like to present that?
That's just an information item, no actions required in your mailings for this meeting, your packets. It included all the issues that have happened since the last meeting.
And officially would like to welcome Kenya Payne to our group. So welcome, Kenya. She endured the council's rough review. They're so lovely. It was nice, right?
Yes.
So
Thank you.
we're so happy to have you here, and thank you for serving the community. It really does make a difference.
Absolutely. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Great. With that, we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Meeting over.
Thank you.